to another great episode on KOB TV, Chattanooga, Tennessee. I am your host, Ken Johnson, and we are talking about money. What about money? Well, basically, how you take over the world. So, we're gonna think like the upper echelon. We're trying to think like the upper echelon and rationalize how to take over the world with money, with fiat money and uh, fiat currency. Anyway, let's go. Right away, you see it says silver certificate. This certifies that there has been deposited in the treasury of the United States of America. As you see your old guy right there. So you know um, who he is. Let me actually so and then I'll move. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I actually, well, now I have to downsize it, guys. I was gonna move over and read the rest that little paragraph right there for you. Can you see that? You can't see that. All right. Here we go. Okay, so this certificate is receivable for all public debts and when so received may be reissued. Okay, so basically, anyway, that's what we used to use for money. It used to be backed by gold and silver, as this one states, the silver certificate. So, of course, as you see this guy here, I don't think he looks like a Quaker or a Puritan, people who came in originally. But what happened is, I told you they got subverted and taken over and corporatized through, the upper echelon, once again, which is over the UK, Britain, the British, so anyway, he they devised a plan to come. Let's go over here. Let's go over here. Okay, I kind of drew that up. I don't know. You may understand. It's pretty simple. I tried to take my time. But let's go. All right, now. And let's stay in the era of 1800, between 1800 and 1900. I think that if we just stay between that era, you can learn a lot, because that's when the takeover and slavery and all that stuff they were trying to plan. They said, well, how are we gonna keep the slaves? We want to be humane, and as the world develops, we want to maintain some kind of morality, some kind of ethics among the world, and look at as if we are not bad people, when in actuality we are. So they came up with a plan. They say, why don't we just, keep all the assets? These are assets. This is gold and silver and diamonds. And we just print, because they realized that printing money, or realized that printing and giving value to something, like we just saw the certificate, if we just tell them that they can redeem it for silver and gold, which they were doing initially, you could take your dollar and at any moment you want it, you could redeem it for that amount in silver or gold, right? Thus, you actually have some wealth. You wouldn't have to actually. It's not like the fiat currency that we're using now. That we are using now. So let's go ahead. So the queen, and I say queen, using her as a pup, just as an icon, an avatar of all the rest, the aces, the lords, all of those people. So okay, well, they said let's print a printing press, and they called it the Federal, which is our Federal Reserve by, you know, the way. And so it's not ours. It doesn't belong to the people. It's just a printing press anyway. So they print up these green things that we call money, and in actuality, they are IOUs. Okay, so you take those IOUs, say 50 million, 50 billion. Let's print up 50 billion, $50 billion. Did let's yeah, 50 billion, because you think it's a dollar, but it's not. And so they say, how do we get this into circulation? Because you just can't, you know, toss it out of a plane or something. Just so they devised a scheme to trade them with the corporations, the private banks, and the government. So the private bank is really the key, because that's who's going to make all the money, or create the money, not make money. They actually just create it through pen and paper. So the Qui prints 50 billion, gives, let's say I give a million to private bank, a million to the corporate, a million to the government. Okay, because a corporation, let's just use, let's say McDonald's or something. Okay, John Deere, and so she gives this corporation a million, and then the corporation gives her a stock or a bond, which is a security, just a piece of paper, basically, say that you have some value in this corporation, an asset in this corporation. You part owner, basically, in this corporation. You gave me $1 million IOUs, because that's all it is. It's not dollars. It's the idea that you can redeem it, which you could do that, but House Joint Resolution 192 can tell you more about that. Anyway, so Corp gives her a contract, basically. Now she's got money invested in this. She just gives the private banks it for free, because they're member banks, like the FDIC. And so they just pass that out for loans. So the private banks pass it out for loans and make the profit, and they can share the profits with that. Okay, and then so the government, that's our government, cities, states, so what they do in the military, and so they build, the cities and states build roads and bridges and the infrastructure for the people. Anyway, so let's go. All right, so now we have it at this level, right? Corporations, private banks, and government. It's still not in circulation, but the Queen has already captured assets. And the only thing she did was printed up money. Not only that, she made money on printing the money, because the dollar only costs 3 cents to make. It's worth $1. So that's the Internal Revenue Service would get. That's how they would generate. So that would be profit, because she would get it. Okay, and so now, in order to get this into circulation, the corporation just hires people to work. Let's say John Deere. You got to make machines, right? And so he hires the people, the lower class, middle class. The middle class watches the lower class. They actually manage the lower class, and the upper class takes all the profit. Everybody over here takes all the profit. Let's go with the corporation. So you're building, you're producing, you produce, so you can buy food, because you want to live, you want to eat, you got to stay in a shelter. So you need some of these IOUs, anyways, right? So that's how you get them into circulation. So because I order to eat, because they say, the government says that we'll accept these for trade now, because he says that, well, not her particularly, and so we go. So they work, so they can eat, so they can buy food, clothes, shelter, pay rent, pay land, taxes, go get all that stuff there, right? The private banks do fractional reserve banking, lending money, and reissuing it out after only keeping 10% of the initial investment. These IOUs, remember now, this is an IOU, so the Queen said, well, IOU Corp such and such, buddy. The corp says, well, you don't really have. Uh, well, no, the corp says, I'll give you a share in my corporation, and the government says, of course, we'll tax you. And so the middle class, like I said, they only produce services. They don't actually produce; they just have services. The lower class, it's the worker, the labor. They build the cars, the houses, the factories. It's only so they can buy food. That's all they do. All this here section does is buy food to eat. They don't they don't own anything. Like over here, you get stuff. They get the allodial title. See, the corporation is not owned by the lower class. They just middle and lower. So only thing they do is eat. They just eat. They don't do anything. They work just so they can eat. Absolutely no other reason. And so we're down to the middle class. The middle class are the watchers, the managers and stuff, and they're trying to get over here to the. I hope I didn't do anything. They're trying to get over here to the upper class. Yeah, I did. And anyway, so that's how the money gets in circulation. So they're circulating the money now, the IOUs. But they at any time they think they can redeem it for gold. But if you look at the, like I said, the House Joint Resolution 192, you'll realize that you can't do it anymore. And you can't do it since 1933. Well, actually, that's why they were weaning it out, because it was a big giant plan, right? A way to free people. Like, you can run around, but as long as you spend these IOUs, it pass the energy up, because these are only people at the upper class, the only people that's getting the profits. The middle class does not own the corporation, neither does the lower class. And so you produce that tractor or whatever to produce the tomatoes or to produce the cows, and then people eat it, and then the profit just goes, and then the middle class watches that profit, make sure you don't steal, the poor doesn't steal, and then then the profit goes to the upper class, and then while the upper class gets profit, not only does that happen, but the government taxes you, so you're getting taxed, right? You're getting taxed. The private banks are getting interest off of you for the loans that to build your house or to buy your car, or even though you may have the money, you finance it through the bank, so they get money. And of course, the corporation is kind of sucky dry too. But I didn't put the arrow over there on them, because technically, the Constitution makes all of us corporations. So, you know, but they still, in the entity doesn't, it's not as bad as this. So that's pretty much it, guys. Kind of wrapping it up. I don't want to bore you to death or anything. So we have so they're just getting the profit. So while you're at work, you can't trade that dollar in for gold or silver anymore, and you haven't been able to do that for a long time. And that's pretty much it. So only thing these people down here do is eat. They work to eat, to stay in the house, to pay the water bill, to pay the light bill, to pay the phone bill, to pay a bill. A bill, a service. These people over here produce it. They don't do anything but manage. They do paperwork. They accounting for these people. So they just do a lot of paperwork. That's where you get the human resources, and they don't produce anything. It's kind of like well, it is a service, like a haircut or something. You go get a haircut and you walk away, and it's just it's not a product. It's nothing intangible. Okay, and so the upper class gets all the profits, and the government gets the taxes. And I gave an example once before, like, say for instance, the lower class, you have a grain of corn. Let's hop over here and just look at the money. So you have a grain of corn, and you plant it, you harvest it, and on that land, before that land that you planted it on, the government is going to tax it, right? and we're about to close because it's 15 minutes. Wow. So the government's gonna tax it when you plant it, right? No, on the land, and then you plant it, you get harvest tax, and then when you harvest it, you sell it, and then it's a sales tax either which way. The person who's buying it is doing a sales tax, and the profit that you made is being taxed. So we're just talking about this harvest of corn now, and then so now the manufacturer has it. Now he has to package it and ship it off. So packaging, manufacturing, okay, that's taxed. And then now it's to the grocery store, and you come in and buy your neighbor's corn with a tax, a sales tax, and then the rich, the uppers, don't get the tax as much. Like they say, the prez didn't pay so much money, but who am I to say? I already know what's going on. All right, so yeah, and the cord is at the retailer. It's at the Walmart. You go in and you buy it. Now it's taxed, and so you go to the house and eat it, but you gotta cook it. So that's gas, and you gotta pay tax on that, and lights and water, wash and stuff. And that's tax on that. And then you eat it, and you chewing on. Oh, it's delicious. You gotta pay tax on that. And you're like, how do you pay tax on that? You're eating this over with. No, because once you consume it, you gotta pay, water, sewer, because it's gotta come out, right? So you gotta pay water, sewer bill which is a tax. All this goes back. Now let's go back to this box so you can get a clear idea that the tax only goes to, if you're not in that blue box, you're not generating wealth. Everybody else holds allodial titles and controls everything that you own, from your car to your house. If you don't pay your property tax, they take your house. If you don't pay your land tax, they take your land. If you don't pay your car note, they take your car. Or if you don't pay the annual tax registration, they take it. Or you can't drive it, which becomes void and worthless. And so everything, in other words, this blue box represents the actual money, the value, what it's backed by. Instead of gold, it used to be backed by gold, but now it's only backed by human resources, the amount of resources that our community can produce. And I say our community, I mean America, North, Middle, and South. So yeah, guys, music is up. I didn't mean it. I tried to condense it this second time around, man. I still didn't beat the clock, man. Because it's so much. But yeah, and then you can go on with, you can extrapolate that further, guys. That's just a general idea, and how to think about that. You have fiat money and it's worthless, and you're a slave. Because none of this, you can generate any wealth from it. They're the only ones that generate wealth. So yeah, guys, I hope you learned something. I hate to be so quick about it, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go. I feel like I'm being quick because I feel like I didn't get enough information out. But it's supposed to be just a general idea. So like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later.
It takes no questions more. Ooh, to get closer, closer.